other before this movie?
No. No, John is in the file of guys I'd like to grow up to be like.
Nick and I fell in the night before we started work. We went out, we had dinner that night, and it was, I mean, I've been an admirer of his work, and it was really great to just feel like you could play that relationship right away. I mean, it was a fortunate circumstance, but also great casting. It was really a nice chemistry from the start.
And Linda, for you?
I really, every element of it, I think was fascinating and inviting for me, and I was really thrilled to be part of it. And the idea of telling a story of a man and a brand that people think they know the story behind, but you actually know very little of the hardship and the history of the sort of franchising and entrepreneurship and all those things that went into it. I just like the idea that there was this thing that everybody thinks that they understand. You see the golden arches everywhere, and there's this other story behind it. So that was fascinating to me. And then getting to play Joan Kroc, I think, is a really fascinating thing too. She was sort of an incredible person, and they had an interesting relationship.
And Laura, I was so excited to see you and Michael in a movie together, and then he dumped you.
I mean, I know they have their own history, but I was just pissed because I didn't get to have more time with him, which was an incredible dream of mine forever, to have the gift of working with Michael. And I worked with John on his first film, A Perfect World, which he wrote, and so I'd always longed that we'd get to work together again with him directing. And I just add to that, because I think you spoke to it, that the story itself, I feel incredibly privileged to get to be a participant in telling the story of what happens when a lack of empathy and severe narcissism in a man takes over, and his shoulder determines him to want to be the highest man in the land. And then that happens. I don't know what it reminds me of, but I think this movie right
now. And Joan, you're really an expert at taking true stories that you might not know the actual story behind it. Saving Mr. Banks, The Blind Side. And I'm curious, when you're telling something based on a true story, how much are you beholden to the absolute truth of events, and how much artistic license are you able to take?
Well, I think you have a responsibility to make something dramatic and to provide, or to exhibit conflict, I'll say. So the first thing you do when there's a true story is you say, if somebody's written the script or whether you're doing it yourself, how many of these facts are actually true, and you group those together and you say, is there a sequence here that'll make it more dramatic and provide more conflict? And if you get a situation where something that's really important and vital to the script isn't true, I don't take the project. Because I think there's a responsibility that goes along with being fair to people, whether they're alive or dead. And you don't want to be the person that tars someone and with something that's not true. So I think this was an example of Rob doing a lot of research, and a whole lot of the dialogue that comes out of Ray Kroc's mouth are actual quotes from Ray Kroc. So some of the most damning ones, actually. He himself would say, yeah, I said that all the time. So that's kind of where it lays for me. But it's always, I don't know, you calibrate as you go. You go, am I okay with this? With this responsibility? What happens if I meet this person's grandson someday and they say, you made a movie about my granddad? I want to be able to say, yes, I did, and I think that was fair, and here's where perhaps maybe I wasn't in retrospect, but you want that responsibility.